Hey guys, I'm Becky and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to take a step back and I really want to take some time and talk about mental health issues and stigmas. Specifically, stigmas with mental health in the workplace and having an actual work-life balance. So first off, let's go ahead and establish what a stigma is. So according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, a stigma is a mark of shame or discredit. It's like negative branding, a tarnished reputation, or a generally negative characteristic or attribute. The American Psychiatric Association breaks it down into 3 different types of stigmas. The first one is public or social stigma, meaning the discriminatory views and opinions that others hold around you. The second one is the self-stigma. It's the internalized, the attitude, then shame and vulnerability that you have about yourself. And the third one is institutional stigma, meaning the systemic organizational tendencies that institutions and organizations may have that limit opportunities for people. So most often, stigmas are manifested through 3 different ways. The first one is stereotypes, standardized patterns or common beliefs that are oversimplified opinions and prejudicial judgments. Second is just prejudice, a preconceived opinion and attitude that is unfounded and without sufficient support and backing. And the third one is outright discrimination, meaning the unequal treatment towards people based on a prejudicial and biased perception. So why do I want to talk about this? Well, because we don't talk about it enough. Even talking about mental health is just awkward in general. So much so that the other day I went to my eye doctor and we were talking about my allergies that I have had since I was a little girl. And they expressed feeling awkward talking to other people that came in about their prescriptions because they weren't sure how that person would react if it was due to a mental illness. And that was a medical setting. That was a healthcare professional that was saying that they were skirting around the subject of talking about mental health. It's such a taboo subject, and I want to open that door a little bit wider so that we can have a conversation about what is so common for a large portion of the population. During my time in the military, I was a military police officer. I was a first responder to people that were going through crises and experiencing really stressful situations. With my civilian job now, I am the leave administrator. I work with people that are going through FMLA, through medical leaves of absence and disability claims. And while I would like to say the majority of those consist of people having brand new babies, that's not the case. A large portion of them are watching their parents go through end-of-life care. They might be fighting a life-threatening illness. They might be watching a child or a brother or a sister fight off a life-threatening illness. None of these situations are easy. More often than not, they bring financial hardship that can mean crippling debt for years after the fact. One of the biggest issues that I'm seeing in my job today is mental health. Plain and simple, it is mental health. Children, adults, even grandparents are all battling with mental health issues like depression, anxiety, loneliness, PTSD. The list goes on and on. And the problem with that is they're trying to go through those situations and maintain a job to cover their life expenses the entire time. I guarantee you that every single person is going to battle depression at one time or another during their life. I know that I have. I've had moments where I've had to take a knee and focus completely on self-care, just on nothing else, just me, to make it through. And that's okay. It's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to have those emotions. It's okay to feel scared or sad or angry or anxious or just depressed. Those feelings are a part of life. The problem with mental health issues, when compared to physical health issues, is that you can't see the injury or the complications that occur after the fact. When you break a bone, you can see the swelling, you can see the cast, you can see the physical therapy that happens after the fact. You can't look at someone across the street and see that they're battling with depression or PTSD. I spoke with someone the other day at work who described themselves essentially as a quitter, all because they felt like their personal walls and their work walls were starting to crumble down in on top of them, and they felt like they needed to take a step back or they were literally going to drown. and they felt like a quitter. And I can't even count the number of phone calls that I've had with managers and colleagues that are going through these leaves and just in general with work that are literally reaching their breaking point, their tipping point. And between COVID and the social isolation that has come from COVID and their work-life balance that seems to overwhelm any type of a personal life that they might have, the struggles of trying to save money for retirement and raise a family, all those little things just are starting to build up and pile up, and pretty soon all it takes is just one little thing that is just going to be too much for them to handle. It often feels like taking a mental health day, a day just for you to practice self-care, is looked down upon in the workplace. It's easy for them to quantify, oh, my child is sick, I need to go and take them to the hospital, or my parent has died and I need to go take care of their affairs. But it's not so common for them to look at it and go, oh, you're feeling really run down, drained, and you just need to catch your breath? No. No. Employers might lean towards the money side of things. They're always chasing that bottom line. They're trying to keep their business afloat. They're worried about being able to keep their businesses open and keep people paid and essentially just running. And your coworkers might be looking at it like, well, if they take the day off, we have to pick up the slack because the work still has to get done even if they're not here. And managers alone might struggle with just staffing a shift, where if one person's out, they might literally not be able to run that department. And no matter what, everyone is impacted in one way, shape, or form. It seems pretty often that people with mental illnesses or battling mental illnesses are portrayed as the problem employees. They're known for having attendance issues in the office or working the system. Now, I'm not trying to say that there's no one out there that does that, because we all know that there are a few bad apples out there, and they give everyone else a bad rap because they abuse the system and they manipulate it for their own gain. That will never change. Never. There will always be one person out there that tries to abuse the system. But we can change how we look at ourselves, and we can change how we look at our coworkers or even our friends and family. Mental Health America states that the number of people looking for help with anxiety and depression has skyrocketed. Between January and September of 2020, there was a 93% increase in people being screened for anxiety, and a 62% increase of people being screened for depression. According to a 2020 report from the CDC, 31% reported symptoms of anxiety or depression. 13% reported starting or increasing substance use. 26% reported stress-related symptoms, and 11% reported thoughts of suicide within the last 30 days. Joshua Gordon, who is the director of NIMH, stated that these numbers are nearly double the rates we would have expected before the pandemic. COVID has exponentially brought mental health illness into a crisis status by itself. It's doubled the rates, essentially, of people who are struggling with mental illness, who are struggling to just get through the day. So here are some more stats for you from the CDC. More than 50% of people will be diagnosed with a mental illness or disorder at some point in their lifetime. 50%. 1 in 5 Americans will experience a mental health illness in a given year. 1 in 5 children, either currently or at some point during their life, have had a seriously debilitating mental illness. 1 in 25 Americans live with a serious mental illness such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depression. A lot of larger employers have their own employee assistance program already set up. An EAP program is a common employer-run service that caters to employees with concerns about mental health, family and interpersonal problems, and financial issues. But just having something in place is not enough. A poll conducted by the American Psychiatric Association in 2019 found that about 50% of workers feel comfortable having discussions about mental health in the workplace. However, 25% of workers would not know where to go to get help. That is one of the biggest trends that I see in my job. People know that they are struggling and that they need help, but they don't know where to go to get that help. So, here are a few resources that I think everyone should know. First one is psychologytoday.com. This is a fantastic resource to find mental health providers, counselors, therapists, psychiatrists in your area. You can go to this website, type in your location, and literally filter out and identify people that will fit what you're looking for as a therapist. Second was the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. They have chatting, they have texting, they have phone calls. They run 24/7. It's a free, anonymous service that you can call in the middle of a crisis. You don't even have to be suicidal. You can literally be in the middle of a crisis or feel like you're at that breaking point and call them and they will help you. The National Domestic Violence Hotline. If you feel like you are not safe and you are to that point, call them. They will help get you out. The Trevor Project. For people that are questioning who they are, this is a great resource, especially for the youth. They're specifically going through what you're going through and are trying to help you the best way they can. There are two federal acts that I want to talk about. FMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act. It protects you as an employee from your job, from your employer, when you or a family member is going through a serious health condition. Essentially, you can take 12 weeks off a year to care for them without any repercussions. And then the ADA, the Americans with Disability Act, is there to protect you. If you have a disability, it's there to protect you so that you can't be discriminated against, so that your employer, your company has to give you a reasonable accommodation to complete the job. It's there to help you, it's there to benefit you, and it's legal, it's federally binding that they have to follow these guidelines. If you are working for a leader or an organization that ignores the toll your job is taking on you, or only fosters a one-sided relationship, you have to put yourself first. You need to take care of yourself, and you need to put your family first. If your employer or your boss is not open to having a candid conversation about how you are doing and how your work-life balance is going, they might not be the best fit for you. If the focus is adding as much work as possible onto your plate and with no reference towards your personal or work-life balance, it might be time to look for a new employer. Now, this isn't a bash the company talk. This is a take care of yourself talk. Every organization is going to be different. They're going to have different cultures and different relationships with work-life balance. Some are going to be more open to talking about mental health issues and struggles in life than others. Even just your first-line supervisor can make all the difference. But it is a two-sided relationship. You do have a say in it. If you raise your hand and say, hey, I am really struggling right now, I need to take some time, I need to focus on myself and get myself to a better place mentally or emotionally or physically or whatever that looks like, and they shut you down, don't let that be the end of it. Don't let the tunnel vision of a crisis, of a stressful situation, take away the options that you have and let you focus on only one way out. Because I promise you that you have other options. I know it might not seem like it at the time, in that moment, with all of those pressures and feelings going on, but I promise you, if you call the crisis hotline, no matter what time it is, no matter how simple it might seem, they will be there for you. They will always answer. They will always be there to listen without a biased opinion. They won't judge you. They won't even ask you for your name if you don't want to give it. It's completely anonymous. And they will walk you through whatever you are going through and help you come up with a plan to get through. I want each of you to remember this. Having emotions, or struggling with depression or anxiety, or just feeling overwhelmed is valid. You are valid. Your thoughts and feelings are valid. You deserve the right to be heard and to be understood. Reaching out to a mental health care professional does not make you less of a person. It simply makes you human. Be gentle with yourself and have grace for those around you who might be silently suffering. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, I need help. or to offer your hand out to those who might be struggling. Something as simple as saying hello, good morning, or how are you doing today can honestly make all the difference in the world, because we know that the little things really do matter. Don't be afraid to take a moment or even a full day for yourself and practice self-care. I know that when I'm struggling and I'm really having a hard time, I will always draw a hot bath, throw some weird smelling bubblies in there, and take a long hot bath and just soak it all out. So whatever it might be, whether it's writing down in a journal or playing music or watching silly YouTube videos, go ahead and do it. Take that time to take care of yourself, because you can't help anybody else if you're not in the right place. So, sending my love and any hugs that you might need. Love you guys.